what makes a valid alternate explanation? So we're going to start out with the example that class size influences student performance. So you have your predictor variable here, class size, and student performance here. This is your outcome variable. And you can imagine a study that says class size predicts student performance. Now, when we're talking about an alternative variable, we're actually talking about a variable that relates to both to student performance and to class size. So take, for example, a variable like teacher availability. Teacher availability is something that relates to student performance. So you can see how teacher availability could relate to student performance. If the teacher is available more often, you can see how a student might perform better in that class compared to when you have a class where the teacher is not as available to others. So there's a relationship there between this alternate variable and the outcome variable. But teacher availability also relates to class size. So if you have a very large class, it's likely that the teacher is not as available to all students compared to when you have a small class size. So in this case, we have a valid alternate explanation because teacher availability relates to student performance and it also relates to class size. Now we're going to go over an example of an invalid alternate explanation. So when thinking about an alternate variable that could explain the relationship between a predictor and an outcome variable, there are times when you might come up with a factor that relates to one variable but not to the other. So take, for example, sleeping habits. Sleeping habits might relate to student performance. So if you don't get enough sleep, you might not do so well in your classes. However, it's hard to imagine sleeping habits being related to class size. So that makes this an invalid alternate explanation because this factor, sleeping habits, relates to student performance but not to class size.